Assalamu alaikum students. Today we are going to learn a new subtopic, that is heartbeat. We all know we have learned about heart in our previous lecture, and we know that our body is full of muscles and our heart is one of the most important organ. It keeps pumping blood throughout our body. It pumps the oxygenated blood and nutrients to the cells throughout our body when it beats. Now you must be thinking, what is beats? So when you keep your hand on your heart, you can hear that sound, thug, thug, thug. That is called beat. The right side of the heart receives the blood from the body and pump it to the lungs. And the left side receives the blood from the lungs and pump it to the rest of the body. You know, when we go to the doctor, they hear the heartbeats with the stethoscope. With the help of stethoscope, they count how many times our heart beats in a minute. But sometimes they use different method to find how many times our heart beat. The another way of finding out how many times our heart beat in a minute is to measure the pulse. Now you must be thinking, what is pulse? So, pulse is your heart rate that counts the number of your heartbeat in 1 minute. The pulse rate varies from person to person. That means pulse rate of a child is different than the pulse rate of adult. Now you must be thinking, why so? Because the child work a lot than an adult. He do lots of work. But an adult do not have that much stamina. So the pulse rate varies from person to person. Depends on their immunity. Your pulse is lower when you are at rest and increase when you exercise. You can feel the pulse on your wrist. Now you must be thinking, how ma'am, how can we feel the pulse on our wrist? So, place the tip of your index and the third finger on the palm side of your wrist below the base of the thumb. Press lightly, very lightly with your fingers until you feel the blood pushing beneath your fingers. You may need to move your fingers around slightly up and down until you feel pulsing, that is flowing of blood through your pulse. Now use a watch with the second hand or look at the clock with the second hand. Then count the beats you feel for 10 seconds and then multiply this number by 6 to get the heart rate per minute. The pulse rate is also affected by doing exercise. By doing different types of exercise, our pulse rate increases. You must be thinking, how exercise affect the heart rate? Because we require different amount of energy to do different exercise. So that is why our heart rate varies when we do different types of exercise. Now we are going to learn what are the factors which affect the heart rate. So these are the some factors which affects our heart rate. First is illness. When body's immunity system is compromised, it will obviously affect our heart rate. When we get weak, our heart rate become low. Second, emotional stress. Sometimes we are fighting with our brothers, we are fighting with our neighbors, and that is called emotional stress. At that time, also, our heart rate changes. Third, as we have studied, it is exercise, and we know different types of exercise gives different types of heart rates. Fourth is breathing. Sometimes when we don't get enough amount of oxygen, our heart breathes very fast. So this increases our heart rate. Medication. Yes, medicines can also increase or decrease the heart rate. Patient who has blood pressure, high blood pressure or low blood pressure, the doctor gives medicine to bring their blood pressure to the normal rate. Sixth one, change in body temperature. We know when we get fever, our heart beat very fast. Seventh is sugar level. Whenever our sugar level in the body increases or decreases, this also affect our heart rate. Eighth is dehydration. That is, when the body becomes dehydrated, blood thickens and it works very harder. That means it becomes very slow. Our heart rate becomes slow. Ninth one is of genetics. Due to genetics also, our heart rate is different. And the last is body positioning. Like for example, if you are sitting, you will have a different heart rate. But if you are walking, you are doing some work, so your heart rate will increase. And if you are running, your heart rate will increase more. Now look at this woman. This woman is wearing a pulse rate monitor, that is an electrical gadget. She is taking part in a game where she has to get across a tightrope without her pulse rate going above a certain level. So now you think how she is going to manage her pulse rate, because you know when we get nervous our pulse rate increase, and now she is playing a game, so she must be very excited. So how can she keep the pulse rate constant? So just think, when you are nervous your pulse rate goes up. After you stop being nervous, like if you don't have any fear now, so your pulse rate will come back down. Your pulse rate also goes up when you do exercise, as we have discussed. But do you think that it comes back to its normal rate? Yes. Your pulse rate will go back to the normal after you have been stopped being nervous or finished doing exercise. This takes some time to happen. So after 1 or 2 minutes after the exercise, you will find heart rate to its normal rate. In this picture, you will find the students doing different types of work. Ben is sitting and watching TV. Raquel is walking and Owen is skating on the board. What do you think? Who will have the highest pulse rate first? Owen will be the first person who will have the highest pulse rate because he is playing the game. Then the second one will be Raquel because she is walking. And the third one will be Ben because he is not doing much work. He is just sitting. So he will have the less pulse rate compared to Owen and Raquel. Now, in this picture, you will find all are doing some work. You need to find whose pulse rate will take the longest to go back to the normal. So, as we can see, Harry is climbing a mountain. Dinah is running very hard. And Megan is enjoying the ride. So, what do you think? Who will take less time to make their pulse rate normal? So, Dinah's pulse rate will take the longest time to come back to the normal because she is running very fast and she is very excited. Then, second will be Harry because he is climbing a mountain. He requires less energy than Dinah. So, his pulse rate will take short time to come back to normal. And Megan, who is enjoying the ride, will take the shortest time to come back to the normal pulse rate because he has not done any exercise, any work. So, his heart rate will require less time to come back to the normal pulse rate. So now you have to find out your pulse rate doing different kinds of exercise. Like first you have to do jogging, then jumping jack, and then resting. You first have to find your heartbeats in 10 seconds and then multiply it by 6 and find out the heartbeat per minute. I hope you all have understood how your heart beats and how we can find the heartbeat by our pulse. And how does exercise affect the heart rate and how the heart rate comes to its normal pulse rate. So if you have any doubt, you can ask me. Allah Hafiz.